Welcome back. In this lecture, we talk about how to enable a service and how to disable a service. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do, instead of taking the existing service like cron service, now I'm going to install a new package, and for that package, a new service is going to be created. So we can play around with that service, and that service is nothing but an Apache 2. We already discussed this Apache 2 service in the apt and yum installation topics. The same we are going to install it now. So I'm going to use apt command because this is a Ubuntu machine. Apt install Apache 2. If you want to play around with this package, then if you are using Linux, Red Hat Linux or CentOS or Amazon Linux, then better go with the HTTPD. And Ubuntu and Debian, we are going to use Apache 2. So I'm going to install this Apache 2 package. So the package is already installed. So now if you see systemctl status Apache 2, we can able to see active and enabled. So if you see here enabled, so by default it is enabled. For example, systemctl disable Apache 2. So now it is disabled, and again if you see systemctl status and Apache 2, you can see here process is running, this background service is running, but this status is disabled, which means what? Whenever this machine reboots, then the service is not going to come online automatically. So you need to start it manually again by executing systemctl start and the service name. So always make sure these services should be in the enabled state, otherwise it will not come online during the boot time. So now again I'll make it online, systemctl enable Apache 2. So now again it is going to come online, and we can see systemctl status Apache 2, and again it is enabled. So now this Apache service is an HTTP web service, means if you want to configure any websites, then in the Linux this is a package we use, and inside that we can configure some websites. But as of now, we no need to configure any website. By default, web page is going to run with this Apache HTTP. So what happens, this whatever the Linux machine which we created in the AWS account, inside that AWS account we created this Linux machine, we can take the public IP and we can just browse it. Okay, so by default it runs with the port 80. So what we need to do, we can just access with the public IP of this machine. So I will go to the AWS console. I'll just take the public IP of this machine, copy this public IP, and then I'm going to try to access this web page. So I cannot able to access. Why? Because by default AWS is blocking these ports. So by default AWS is not allowing port 80 to access. So very simple step we need to do. Go to this AWS console and go to the security tab, select your machine and go to the security tab, and here you can see security groups, and click on this link here, and then here if you scroll down bit, here you can see and edit inbound rules, click on it and add rule, and here select HTTP, means we are allowing to go and access the HTTP service inside that machine. So here this is an IP range, anyone can go and access it, just save the rules, that's it. Now again if I just go and access it, see this is a web page. So by default web page, then whoever want to configure websites and make it as a web server, then they will configure it accordingly by placing the website content inside that server. But as of now, that is not our agenda. Only thing is we can just test whether Apache is installed correctly and working fine or not. So now what I'll do, I'll go here and systemctl stop Apache 2. I'm stopping this service. So now what happens? If I stop this service, the web page is not going to be able to open. Okay. So now if I go back here and hit enter, or else if I see here, the web page is gone. I cannot able to access because from my laptop, from browser, when I'm hitting this, first it will go to the AWS environment and it will check the security groups. Then that security group will allow to go and access the machine, and in the machine it will check whether the service is up or not. If the service is down, then it is not going to work. Now again I'll just try to start Apache 2. So now again I'll go here and try to hit enter. It is accessible. So this is how the advantage is, like the services importance is always it should up and running. If that service is down, then it will impact a lot. The business will be down. So that's the reason we should make sure always the services are up and running fine. And also at the boot time, also these services should come online automatically. So for that we should make sure that whether it's enabled or not. If it is not enabled, sometimes whenever we install any packages, by default that respective package service will not be in the enabled state. So you need to make sure by checking the status and enable it accordingly, so that it will be always online whenever the machine reboots. So this is about the systemctl commands. In the next video I will show you service commands.